I'm a software engineer. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm focused on product innovation in solving complex problems of economic and geographic scale. My two older sisters, who had both done engineering, had gone to school in the UK. And there was a bit of an expectation that I would follow in their footsteps, which I did, but not geographically. I had absolutely no interest in studying or living in the UK. My sights were on the US. So I came back in 2001. I had been thinking about the startup that became Rankard. I'd actually been talking with my co-founder for months before I left my 8-month stint at Dell Computers, and so came back 2001 on March 4, I remember very clearly, 2 days before Independence Day. That was my return. When you do make up your mind, simply stick with it. Don't make up your mind to come home because you're reacting to something difficult where you are, or because you think there's a particular opportunity at home, but ground your returning in your own deep instinctive desire to return home with the understanding of what home really means. Minimize any possibility of a shock factor by setting maybe a target point, more of a target date to move home, and visit home often. Get comfortable with what you're moving to. Once you do move home, move home. Don't move home and still be contextualizing and comparing what you're coming from to what you've come to as if you're a foreigner in your own land.
You're very welcome to the MTN Pulse Just Be series. It's an amazing time here today. It's 11:03 a.m. It's the 24th of September 2021, and that means that really you should be only concerned about one thing at this time, and that is the MTN Pulse Just Be series. And of course, they're doing this in collaboration with Ahaspra. And if you just watch the video that was on your screen, if you're watching us online, whatever you're watching us via a phone, a tablet, a laptop, a big television screen in your room or your office, whatever you saw that video on, you are seeing the CEO of Rankard Solutions, the founder of Rankard Solutions, and he's a huge player in the tech space. Someone who left the diaspora, he went to study there, came back to Ghana, set up a business with his partner, and 20 plus years down the line, it's still a very successful one and has impacted the tech sector, the entrepreneurial space, and the business segments of Ghana beautifully, largely, and in ways that you cannot imagine. And that's what this program is about today. So let's talk briefly about what MTN Pulse is, okay? So when we talk about the MTN Pulse Just Be series, a wise man once said that the best way to predict the future is to create it. You create your own future, right? And so the MTN Pulse Just Be series is a youth conversing to youth program designed to encourage today's youth to aspire to be great entrepreneurs. This series is proudly sponsored by and powered by MTN Pulse, and it's a youth segment of MTN Ghana focused on enriching the lives of Ghanaian youth through empowerment, entertainment, and education. All the things that the youth love, right? You love to be empowered, you love to be educated, you love to be informed, but more importantly, you need to make some money, right? Good. That's what this program does for you. And so MTN Pulse offers pulses the flexibility to choose either more data over voice or data-only bundles, as well as enjoying loyalty offers such as the best place to relish great cuisine at discounted prices. Food is good, right? Yes, so from KFC, the Potbelly Shack, and amazing spaces, and of course, through Yango rides as well, because you need to get around, right? And if you're an entrepreneur, probably you're not buying a car in your first year of entrepreneurship. So you need to get around. Yango can help you do that. And if you sign on to MTN Pulse, then you can get discounts with your Yango rides and you can move around freely, okay? So MTN Pulse isn't just stopping at giving you great discounts, at giving you great services that are consumer-based, youth-centered. They've actually created a Just Be series so that you also understand that you have a partner that is willing to help you as a young person or if you're even 40 or 50 years old and you're just getting into the entrepreneurship space, that resource is there so that you can tap into it and become the entrepreneur that Ghana needs you to be and that you yourself can be. I said that you yourself can be, because you can be an entrepreneur, okay? Now let's talk about a diaspora. We're saying a diaspora. I mentioned that the gentleman who spoke to us through the video is a member of a diaspora. What does that mean? Who is a diaspora? So a diaspora is an organization that was established 10 years ago to promote brain gain. Does everybody understand what brain gain means? Brain gain, right? Educated guess, even if you don't know. We talk so much about the brain drain. Young people from Ghana, from the African continent, travel abroad, go to school, get great jobs, well-paying jobs at various institutions, make some great money, and never come back, okay? And that has robbed us of some of the great human resource that we could have in the country. So AHASPRA was set up 10 years ago to promote brain gain by providing a support system for Ghanaian professionals who are thinking about or who had returned home, okay? And that was to provide a forum for this group of people, so this demographic of people who had been away and were now coming. Because if you're away from Ghana for only 1 year, a lot changes. You know, I mean, even when you go to school, right? And you're in school, you're focused on your classes, on your exams. By the time you come out, Charlie, some building has popped up somewhere. You don't know what's happening, right? So for somebody who has been away for 20 years, 10 years, 15 years, you can imagine the weight that it places on you when you're thinking about not just coming back to live in Ghana, but to do business, to make a livelihood for yourself, for your family. So AHASPRA was set up to support people like that and encourage them to come back, okay? And then people who are like-minded individuals within this space, within this demographic, who are thinking about or have returned home, to provide a forum so that they can positively impact our society. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about me, it's not just about you, it's about us. It's about the society, it's about Ghana, and I believe that all of us here are also thinking Pan-African. It's about Africa, right? Great. So AHASPRA is set up for that. And over the last 7 years, AHASPRA has supported both Ghanaian and international organizations to organize several mentoring and coaching programs to empower Ghana's youth and to be first-class, well-rounded professionals. So AHASPRA is not just setting up a space for people to, you know, come back home, okay, come and do some hand-to-mouth kind of thing. No, you're competing on a global stage. You're becoming world-class, and you're creating jobs for other Ghanaians and other people, right? Okay, and so the AHASPRA vision, they provide an online listserv, which means that more or less you have members where questions ranging between jobs that are available, upcoming conferences, transitioning home. If you have any questions around those things, AHASPRA has an online listserv that can give you that information. And the AHASPRA vision, far and wide, is to provide a support system for young Ghanaian professionals and like-minded individuals who are thinking about, and again, who have returned home to come and impact the country individually and as a collective group, right? And our underlying theme is changing mindsets, channeling our future. Changing mindsets and channeling our future. And this stemmed from the AHASPRA belief that by fostering informed minds through giving back, Ghana's future is poised to be great. Does that make sense to you? Yes. Yeah, I think a round of applause is in order here. So now let's talk about this marriage between the brilliant program that the MTN Pulse Just Be series provides for us, and then the amazing and impactful things that AHASPRA is doing. Why are they, combining their forces today? So today's topic, and you'll be hearing our keynote speaker, our panelists speaking a lot about living your passion. Living your passion. How many of you are living your passion? I see some eyebrows go up. Is that possible? It is possible. Hands have gone up. People are living their passion. I know I'm living mine, okay? There are people here who are actually living their passion. And so we have some of those people who are going to share with you how they've been able to do that. So when you're in the ocean in a sailboat, you cannot afford or you cannot control the direction of the wind. Do you agree with that? This one there's science. You know, you're in a sailboat, you're on a ship. You can't control the direction of the wind. You didn't create the wind. If you believe in God, it's God who created it. If you believe in a bigger force, that bigger force created it. But you can't control the wind yourself. People have tried, but you cannot. So that means that you have to adjust the sails to suit your direction. Is that possible? Good. You can adjust the sails. So you can't control the wind, but you can adjust the sails to suit your direction. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go and watch more movies with sailors in the sea, or go to Jamestown. The fishermen there, they have all the appall when it comes to that, right? But basically, that's what we're talking about, that you can't control your direction. When COVID-19 hit the world, it rocked many, 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 many people. I mean, and knocked them off their sail. So many lost their jobs. How many of you who know people who lost their jobs because of COVID? Okay. I know at least 7 women who are on maternity leave and lost their jobs when COVID hit. Okay. So people have lost their jobs. That's a reality, and it's not just in Ghana. All right. There are also a lot more people who can't find jobs because their jobs, it was a problem before COVID came. And now COVID has come, people have lost them, and then you who didn't have, you find. It's looking impossible for a lot of people. How many of you are job seeking? Anybody here? Is there anybody who's been job seeking or job searching for a long time? Nobody? Okay, so that's good. We're all in a pretty comfortable place. Online, we'd like to hear your comments as well if you're experiencing any of these things. All right, but the bottom line is that COVID-19 hit people hard, okay? And there are also people who had begun new enterprises. Maybe in November 2019, you launched your new company, and then all of a sudden, March 2020, lockdown. You can't go anywhere for 3 weeks if it's in Ghana. If it's beyond the shores of Ghana, you have some partners that you are doing business with. Now they're also telling you, look, we don't have the funding anymore because our funders are not giving us funding. You can't travel. COVID-19 really, really, really hit hard, okay? But there are a few people who survived the pandemic. There are people who actually survived it. And we believe that they have a secret that they need to share with us. And that's one of the reasons why we're here today, apart from learning how to live your passion. So there are many factors that influence businesses, how they start. Gathering knowledge from experienced role models is one of the ways that startup businesses can become successful. So you learn from those who have done it, those who have gone before you, right? Now, our choice of topic for today, living your passion, is just a start of a conversation to engage young Ghanaians like you, those of you present in this room, those of you online, and even myself, right? So it's just a start of one conversation that we hope will have a ripple effect. And so young Ghanaians eventually can explore their interests to create a side hustle, to generate income in these difficult times, and then gradually create sustainable businesses that are no longer your side hustle, but your day-to-day hustle that also make a living for other people, okay? So the Ghanaian economy, as many, many, many others around the world, as I've just said, is going through challenging times, which makes finding a job these days next to impossible. And now, more than ever, we need to sanitize and sensitize. What did I say? Sanitize and sensitize our youth to nurture their interests into sustainable ventures. Does that make sense? Does it deserve a round of applause? Okay. Now, I want you to understand that I said this is the beginning of a conversation. So it means there's something that's going to happen after that, right? So what next? So participants who are joining us here today, you'll be considered as members of a cohort for an after-event incubator program. So each cohort will subsequently enroll in a 3-month incubator program where they will receive personalized mentoring. And that's extremely hard to come by. If you've ever tried to reach out to somebody to be your mentor, you know that it's not easy to have someone pay attention to just you, right? Okay, so that's one of the things that this program will provide. And during this period, the cohorts will participate in a monthly virtual entrepreneur incubator session with industry experts who will introduce them, or you, if you make it in, to practical solutions to key entrepreneurial struggles like building human capital, accessing funds. Funding is a huge conversation when it comes to business. Human resource management. Now you have the people, how do you manage them? Okay. and then navigating the digital marketing trends of the present. It's a digital age, right? And that's why you have a global giant like MTN involved in something like this, because the digital space is equally important now when it comes to business. So you can experience a variety of entrepreneurial videos from side hustlers on the Hustle aka Just Be section on the MTN Pulse app. So if you haven't downloaded the MTN Pulse app, now is a good time to do that, because there's great information there. So the entrepreneurial videos there, like I said, and people who have side hustles, if that's the stage at which you are now when it comes to entrepreneurship, you can get some interesting information from the Just Be section on the Pulse app. And so you can download the app now, go to the Google Play Store, you can go to the Apple Store, and then you enjoy all that and more. You can dial *567#. *567#. Have you noted that down? Some people are not writing well. This information doesn't come, it's difficult to find. *567#. Okay? So what that short code would do is would allow you to enjoy similar benefits or similar offers that the MTN Pulse family and community has to offer you. Okay? Make sense? Now, one last thing I'll ask you to do. At the very end of all this that we're going to do today, there'll be a survey. And so I would like you to download, if you don't have on your phone already, a QR code scanning app, because the QR code is going to be put up on the screens. For those of you who are online, it will be in the comments sections. So if you're watching us via Facebook, on MTN's Facebook page, or Haspra's Facebook page, or on YouTube via MTN and Haspra's YouTube channels, in the comment section at the very end or towards the end of everything we're going to do here today, you'll see a QR code, and then you can scan it and then take the survey. So those of you who are present in the room as well, if you don't have the app that can scan a QR code, you might want to do that at some point so that we can move along quickly, okay? And the hashtag MTN Pulse, #JustBe. All right, so welcome once again to the MTN Pulse Just Be series. And moving on, I'm going to invite our keynote speaker. Okay, I'm going to invite our keynote speaker. Now, she's a very, very, very wonderful woman. Her name is Regina, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. So Regina Honu is the CEO of Srunko Academy, a leading technology, coding, and digital skills development center in Africa, pioneering the way for young people, especially women and girls, to realize their economic potential, equipping them with the technical and soft skills they need to attain dignified, fulfilling jobs and overcome the gender gap in technology. The Academy, which is the first coding and human-centered design academy in West Africa, has trained over, get this, 20,000 women and girls, and has expanded to train boys, men, and children with disabilities. Srunko Academy won the most impactful initiative at the Women in Tech Global Awards for 2020. Regina was awarded the 2018 AFS Active Global Citizen Award for her contributions to global competence education, and she's also a winner of the Challenging Norms Powering Economies Initiative by Ashoka, UN Women, and Open Society Foundations for work to challenge gender norms in women's economic empowerment. She's also been ranked one of the top young 50 CEOs in Ghana in technical and vocational education and training, what we call TVET. She's a role model by the, it's also been dubbed or appointed or named a role model by the Ministry of Education through the Council for Technical and Vocational Education and Training, COTVET. She sits on the board of AFS International. She's an ambassador and mentor for the CAMP, a European campus dedicated to emerging technology and social innovation. She's listed as one of BBC's 100 most inspirational and innovative women for 2017. She was awarded the 2017 Northwestern University Buffet Institute for Emerging Global Leaders Award, and also awarded the Coca-Cola Young Achievers Award as a leader in technology. She was also unveiled as the 2016 Vlisco brand ambassador, and she was featured on CNN as one of the 12 inspirational women who rock STEM. She is named as one of the 6 women making an impact in tech in Africa and one of 10 female entrepreneurs who you should be watching or to watch in emerging economies. She is an Ashoka Fellow, Aspen Institute New Voices Fellow, a Good Fellow, a Global Shaper of the World Economic Forum, and a Vital Voices Fellow. She is currently partnering with the MasterCard Foundation as part of the Young Africa Works to ensure that 2.1 million Ghanaian women connect to dignified and fulfilling work. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure and my utmost honor to welcome to you, hand over the stage to Regina Honu.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Afioko. I think it's been a while since I did this type of presentation. I've missed it because we normally do online now. So it's quite refreshing, to come and do a little bit of a hybrid, which is face-to-face and online. So today we're going to talk about living your passion. And I'm going to take you through one of the key things that I like to do, which is tell a story. But I wanted to take you through my story with images. So instead of you just hearing about my journey, I wanted you to see it. So you get to walk my path. So I'm going to start off with a presentation. I'm sure the presentation is loading. It all began. Next slide, please. Okay, so that's me. I had to look for that picture from an old archive. I'm the shy one at the back. It all started with Pac-Man for me when I was a little girl and playing the game, fell in love with it. Next slide. And I decided that, okay, so I wanted to, to be able to change Pac-Man. And I was told that in order to do that, I had to learn how to code. When I was in senior secondary school, I drew a rocket, showed it to my teacher, said I wouldn't, make it, I'll end up in the kitchen. But then I decided to go on. Now, I wanted to go to university in Ghana. And it's interesting that Ahaspera says, they are trying to do brain gain. Because at the time, I was concerned about something called the brain drain. A lot of young people leaving Ghana to go out. So I wanted to stay. My mother, who is a typical Ashanti, wanted me to go to school in the US because, she has to tell everybody at church that her daughter is in school in the US. So we were flipping through the newspaper, and then we saw this new university called Ashesi University. And my dad and I went to check it out, and we met Mr. When Ashesi started, this was our first classroom. This is how Ashesi looks like now, right? So you can imagine, my father is taking me to this university, which is a house in Laboning. And at the time, everybody was like, Ashesi, what's that? It was very difficult. My uncle was like, take your daughter from that place now, So I went to Ashesi. So next slide. Now Ashesi is a household name. In the very first class, there were 3 ladies in the computer science class. My first programming language was Visual Basic. I failed. I couldn't see head or tail of what's happening with Visual Basic, right? And at the time, Ashesi is a liberal arts program. So we had done 1 year of liberal arts programming. So I thought I could be better at business because, I tried my hands on business and it was a little bit better than the tech. So I was going to change my course because Visual arts was not working for me. But then I decided I can't give up my first hurdle. I have to keep trying. So I now went back. I worked very hard. Day and night, I was writing code. In fact, they would give us group projects. I would do the whole code by myself because I really had to make sure that, I got it. And then I fell in love with coding. My programming language of choice was Java. Java was my first love. And so then I became very good at it. It came to me naturally. Next slide. And then I got a job while I was in school. So it does show how Rankard has impacted lives. So I got a job while I was in Rankard. That was what I call my back, because I really honed my tech skills. When you go to university gives you a little bit about what is going to happen in the real world, right? So when you actually go onto the job market, there are higher demands, based on your skill set. So, I mean, Rankard was a top tech company. I would go in, you know, for meetings with my boss, and then he would give me a problem. Number one, I didn't even understand the problem, let alone know the answer. You know, but I can't tell my boss, I don't know what you're saying. That's very bad. And I was coming from Ashesi University, so I had to, you know, so I would go and do research. Because, you know, go and do research. I wouldn't sleep just to understand the question. And, you know, I worked at 2 international banks. In both banks, I was the only female in the IT department. So you can imagine, I faced discrimination, sexism, stereotyping, everything under the sun. In fact, I was smaller than I am now. Each time somebody will come to IT, walk through the bank, reach IT, see me there. Are you the secretary? I'm like, oh my goodness. How did you reach IT and position me secretary? And then I put the tag, I'm not a secretary. I don't make tea and coffee. I don't take minutes. None of that, right? And, you know, there was time for promotion. I was the only developer, so I had really worked on building the product. And, you know, when the promotion time came, I assumed, since I was the only developer, it's a done deal, right? So I go in for the interview for the promotion. As soon as I walk in, the man looks at me and says, are you the one? I said, yes. He closes the book. Didn't even give me the benefits of the interview for me to justify that I just could not be the head of an electronic banking unit based on, you know. So I got upset, and then I decided to talk to my colleagues because I was hoping that that promotion would take me to another level. And I found out that I was the least paid. And I was not the least paid because I was female, but because I didn't understand how to negotiate, right? When you go in for a job, and at the time, you know, I didn't even do any research. What is the going rate for developers in the space? You know, what is my value that I'm bringing to the organization? So when I went and they offered me some money, which was bigger than the one that I was getting, I just took it. But also the other thing is, I had to unlearn, you know, this is the challenge that we find for a lot of African women and girls, is they don't teach us how to, you know, ask for more, negotiate based on your value, right? A good girl, if your mother gives you 2 loaves of bread, how dare you say, ma, atre? You don't have good home training, right? So you take what you are given, and then you are grateful. This is what, you know, a good girl is supposed to be. So I instantly asked for promotion because now I'm no more playing good girl role. I instantly asked for promotion. I got promoted, but in order not to rock the boat, they promoted the men. Can't fight all the men in the department too. Can't fight all the wars. So I moved on. Went to another bank. Same thing in a different hat. While I was at the other bank, I got the opportunity to interview at Microsoft. This was the very first time that Microsoft was pioneering or piloting recruiting from the continent. So I first did a test in Ghana. Microsoft test, hey, it was very, very, very difficult anyways. And then I finally made it to the campus in Seattle. The Microsoft test in Seattle is another whole day program that tests your mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, everything about you for you to be able to, you know. But what was interesting about my time during the interview at Microsoft was in the waiting area, there was a table, and the table was touch screen. I'd never seen that before in my whole life, right? You can actually touch the screen, and then, you know, you can change it into an aquarium, you can read news. I was like, this was around like early 2000s. I was like, wow. Even at Microsoft, you can have an interaction with the table, right? What are we doing back here? So then when I left the Microsoft experience, I thought it would be amazing to work at Microsoft. I mean, a dream come true. In fact, I think on a lot of developers' lists, Microsoft should be there somewhere. But I had to come back and make a difference. And I was, you know, like very set on that. But I never saw myself as an entrepreneur. I thought entrepreneurs are born and not made. Certain individuals that have certain characteristics. I was shy, risk averse, didn't like stepping out of my comfort zone. I didn't even like talking, you know. So I just thought to myself, entrepreneurship is not for me. I won't make it out there. And it's only like crazy people that do that thing, right? Next slide, sorry. So then I came back, and I would always say, I put a bit of a snooze button on my dream or desire to become an entrepreneur. So the day that I resigned, I didn't know when I woke up in the morning that I was going to resign, because here I am working at a bank. You know, you get your salary, 26, pa, pa, pa. I'd moved out of home, I'd got my apartment, I was living the life. Now I had to come to the hard decision. So when I felt that day that I wanted to stop and start, I went to the ladies to pray. This was a big decision, you know, to leave a well-paid job to nothing. I don't recommend that. Have a plan. It's not a good yeah. So then I quit. It was the following morning that I had a panic attack because, like I said, I literally quit to nothing, right? And then I bought my first desktop and I had to move back home because now 26, there's no PPP, you understand? So I had to go back home. Internet is free, no rent, getting some food there. So I moved back to my parents' house and started my company there. I wanted to create a social impact company, but I didn't like how NGOs operated because they relied solely on donor funding, right? So, and I also didn't even know how to start. Because you can imagine, it's not like I had studied entrepreneurship or I knew something about it. Like I was just blank and clueless. So I felt that what I needed to do was to build software, which is my strength, right? And then use my profits to run the non-for-profit. So this is exactly what I did. And then I chanced on this whole social enterprise movement. So I started off with a tech company called Shrimpu Solutions. I was building tech solutions for different clients, mostly SMEs and some large corporates. Next slide. And then I would use my profits to run pilots. It's very important for whatever idea that you have, you test it in the market. I couldn't assume sitting in Accra that my idea of what I wanted to do was going to work, so I had to test it out. My initial idea was called Growing STEMs, Growing Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math Skills, and I tested it in rural communities. When I went to these rural communities, as you can even see from the pictures, it was the boys that came. The girls didn't come, right? As soon as the laptop opened, in fact, the girls stood no chance because the boys just came from everywhere. Next slide. In one of the sessions, a boy and a girl come. The boy tells the girl that laptops are for boys, but I had the laptop and I'm a girl, right? And so I had this, what I say is my aha moment, that in order to get more women and girls, they needed to see role models, other women in the space. And I look back at my own experience being a minority in the space. Next slide. So I looked at what is the problem. And I mean, I'm just going to read one is the big one. I mean, according to the UN, 2/3 of all jobs in developing countries might be lost to automation. Next one. And the progression of women in tech was declining, right? In 1995, it was 37% women computer scientists. 2017, 24%. 2027, the projection is even going to go down. And only 3%, I want you to just let this number sink in. Only 3% of ICT graduates worldwide are women. That's hectic, right? Thank you. Very terrible. And so I was like, no, this cannot continue because we need the female perspective in the technology solutions that are being created. We cannot just have one perspective. It doesn't augur well for innovation. You need to have different perspectives for something to be truly innovative, right? So I decided that next slide. My solution was going to be Tech Needs Girls, which was going to be a mentorship program. And at the time, there were several programs focusing on teaching young people how to consume technology. But I was like, no, let's flip the script. I want to increase the number of women that can create technology, right? The number of women computer scientists. So I had to start early. So I started with young girls from 6 to 18, teaching them how to code. Next slide. We ran several programs using mentors, other women in tech, which was another key tool that we used to, and we taught them different coding skills. Next slide. And then we presented to them local role models. So this is Lily. I talk about her a lot. You know, we met Lily when she was in university studying computer science. Lily is now a badass, kick-ass woman in tech. You know, she just recently won a global award. She's just doing amazing, right? And we showed them all these different local role models that look like them. Next slide. And then a little bit of some global role models, right? Now, before I even segue into this, remember I said that I was shy and risk-averse. So now I want to create a business which is based on what I'm passionate about, which is bridging the gender gap. I didn't know how to go out there and talk to people and present myself. So I said, let me be strategic and create a brand such that opportunity will find me, right? There are two people, those who go for opportunity. And those that are standing right there when opportunity is coming, it will just be meeting them. So that was my strategy, to position myself strategically and become a thought leader in my space such that opportunity would find me, right? And so I use social media a lot to help me do that. And soon I started, I had only key messages on social media. So soon I started getting recognition because I was using my social media only for 3 types of messaging, which was women and girls in tech, tech for social good, and then our first big break came. Sheryl Sandberg, the CEO, published me in a book called Lean In, and then several other features. But in that picture, we had a visit from the Crown Princess of Sweden. She came to Nima because that was where our project was. That was a big production, right? And we always say that she saw us before she saw the president. So when she came from the airport, she came straight, to see the girls. That changed the game, right? Because now we brought royalty to the slum. We had different global role models come in. Next slide. And then we decided, to capitalize on media. Now, some people get their 5 minutes in the spotlight. Like for me, my first big break came with CNN. And I told myself that, look, I can come on CNN. You'll hear about me again, right? Several people get featured. But I wanted to convert my 5 minutes in the spotlight to forever in the spotlight. So how do I do that? I had to make sure that I had a story that you wanted to come back and hear more, right? A story that kept evolving. And I had a way to be able to use media as a tool. So I was very strategic also about media. And so then CNN, Deutsche Welle, Al Jazeera, BBC, it keeps going on. And then to be able to have that voice and that story that keeps evolving, you keep getting called, right? So as soon as Twitter launched, or Twitter said that they are setting up headquarters, BBC called me. If anything is happening in my space, somebody will call me, right? Because now I had made myself a global voice in my space, right? And I use media also for advocacy. Next slide. So yes, these are all, next slide. And then we had different teams coming in to help. Next slide. Okay. So in 2017, we had a model where we were going around training girls. And this was girls from 6 to 18. But the challenge that we had is, you can't just empower girls and leave them. It doesn't work like that. When a community doesn't understand what an empowered girl looks like, they beat her down even more. So you can't teach her that she can speak up and then you say, okay, bye, you're empowered. Go and tell your mother your opinion. No, it doesn't work like that. So when we would go back in some of our programs, we realized that the girls were in a worse off situation because there was no support system, there were no structures in place to sustain the impact. Impact is not a one-time event, it's a continuous process, right? So we had to now come back and think, how can we keep impact going? And if we kept moving around, that was not going to be sustainable. So we decided to set up an academy. So this is when we set up Shonko. And then now we were focusing mostly on driving impact. So we had to look at some revenue generation within our model. Everybody says when you do social work or non-for-profit, you don't make money. I always say you make money, but you put the money back into the business and you keep driving impact. So it's not like if you're doing non-for-profit work, that means no money is coming. And you have to keep thinking about ways to keep generating revenue. So with our model, we decided to offer coding classes for children that could afford to pay it and use that to offer scholarships for underprivileged women and girls. And so that's what we did. Okay, the slides back. And that's what we did. So at Shonko Academy, we started running programs for children. Next slide, 5 to 6. We also started piloting, introducing coding into public schools. Next slide. I mean, you can't do great work without great tech organizations. And MTN has been, an organization that has been really supportive. If you can go to the slide before. So one of the things that they've always engaged with us on is, girls in ICT. And also, MTN helped us reach more children with disabilities. So we worked with children with hearing and visual impairments. And we created a code academy for the deaf. That was a very interesting challenge where we taught deaf children how to code. I also was able to mix fashion and technology as the Vlisco brand ambassador. So I'm working with Vlisco. And that really helped to use fashion to bring more women into tech. Next slide. And then we looked at scaling, expanding. Because at this point in time, we were growing and we needed to be able to scale and expand. So we partnered with a warehousing company. and which offers our spaces. So now we operate in Accra and in Tema. Next slide. Okay, that's the warehouse. Next slide. Several collaborations. Next slide. This is an interesting one because it's important that we also engage with different bodies. So from universities, getting young people. So I run a program where we teach UCC students how to get on LinkedIn. So we taught some scouts who are multipliers. So each time anybody comes to UCC, you learn how to use LinkedIn to connect to your next job. Next slide. So now our big task is to ensure that 2.1 million Ghanaian women connect to dignified and fulfilling work. And we're doing that with the MasterCard Foundation. And we are running our programs now nationally. Next slide. So these are all the regions. Now we are everywhere, like MTN. You know, if you go to every region, you'll find Sonko is, you know, working with women there. Next slide. And these are some of our different impact stories of women that have connected to jobs, started their own businesses, working in different tech and non-tech jobs. We also connected our women to a lot of remote work opportunities right after COVID. So the women work for a French company that outsources microtasking artificial intelligence, and they earn 300 euros a month in their house. Cool. It's cool living, oh, cool living. You just do data tagging, data annotation, 300 euros every month. You know, and we have like 91 women there. And then, like, you know, once you start getting that voice, you have a different global, you know, presence. So this was when Chancellor Merkel came. This was when I met Michelle Obama. Next slide. This is my latest one, which happened yesterday. So I decided to put it there. You know, I was recognized as one of the Quartz Africa Innovators for 2021. And there are 12 game-changing female-led initiatives. So I'm very proud to always represent Ghana, you know, and that my initiative is there. This other one to just happen, which I'm also very, very excited about, which is the Women Entrepreneurs Financial Initiative, which is housed by the World Bank, where I've become an observer. So I am now observing and sort of giving advice to a governing committee on how funds should be distributed to women across the continent, right? And this is a 350 million fund, and I'll get the opportunity to be able to give best practices and help the different countries. So I was nominated by the German government, which is very interesting, you know, to be able to do that. And that makes a difference, right? So now I can sort of bring in what is really working on the ground to ensure that more women get access to finance, right? And more women are able to grow sustainable businesses. Now, what is next for us is we want to build our own campus because we've overgrown our space. We've now done 20,000. We can't fit at the academy, even though we've scaled nationally and all of that. We now want to create our own eco-friendly campus designed for women and girls for the African continent. So a woman anywhere can come here or have residential facilities and learn to develop tech skills for the future. Final slide. This is my daughter. You know, yeah, ish. What that little girl, she's now a boss. So she's 4 to 5, so she's now like a big woman. We call her the head of future innovation because she's already like doing a lot of things. So for me, I wanted to conclude by saying, I never imagined in my wildest dreams that this is what would have happened when I chose to live my passion. Never in my wildest dreams, right? Because there was nothing that showed those pathways. I was born and, you know, raised here, and I took the opportunity to follow my passion unapologetically. I have failed several times at doing different things. I have made several mistakes, but the most important thing is I keep going. So I always tell young people that, you know, all you have to do is put one foot in front of the other and take action. I shudder to think what would have happened if I never made the decision, you know, to step out of my comfort zone and start something for myself. I would not only have been able to make an impact for myself and my country, but for women all over, not only Africa, but the world. So I want to encourage all of you that don't hold back. You know, live your full life. You only live once. And you never know the potential that you have in you up until you explore it. Thank you so much.
Well, I think you can do better than that. Are you inspired?
Definitely.
You should be.
Definitely.
But how many of you hadn't heard about Regina until today? You hadn't. You hadn't. Okay. does it blow your mind that there's someone like this in Ghana? It does. So does it inspire you that you can live your passion too from Ghana?
Yes.
And contribute to the brain gain?
Yes.
It does. Okay. This is what the MTN Pulse Just Be series is all about. And we've just begun. We've only just begun. So Regina, I have a few questions for you. Very first one. You ended by saying that you never in your wildest imagination thought that this is what living your passion could lead you to. So when you were a student at Ashesi, where you were coding day and night, what was the end game?
I was hoping to land a job, you know, and rise through the ranks there. I didn't even really know, like, it's like, I just had a vague idea that I'll get a job in corporate, you know, and work there. That was just it. And then, you know, it's like you think it'll just be easy. I'll buy a house, have a family, those things. You know, so that was just all the thoughts I had. That was just it. It was just to get a job. Yeah.
That was just it. Okay, so you told a story about how you were the only developer at a place you were working. And as the only developer, you thought it was only natural that you should be the one to be promoted when a promotion came along, or the opportunity for a promotion came along. What lessons did you learn from that?
So the first thing is life is not fair, you know, and I always thought life was black and white. And sometimes things are not given to you. You have to go for them, right? I just thought that things would naturally happen. And I would just be given the thing because, you know, I had done a lot of the work and all of that. So I learned things don't always happen fairly. And things are not just given as they're supposed to. Sometimes you have to go for what you want.
What would you have done differently, knowing what you know now and having the mindset that you've just, you know, spoken about? What would you have done differently in that moment as a smaller Regina who was put before this gentleman who just closed his book and said, no, if it's you, no? What would you have done differently?
I would have presented my case to him. You know, I would have spoke up. I said nothing. When he said nothing, I said nothing. I let it go, you know, and then he started asking me non-related questions. I would have presented my case to him as to why I deserved the position, what I could do to change, you know, the electronic banking in the bank, you know, the ideas that I had. So I wouldn't have just taken it. I would have actually spoke up and then presented why I would be the best candidate for the job.
Okay. Now, you left the corporate space. I mean, from Rankard to a number of banks, their tech departments. You left you just up and left and started the Surunku Academy. And you went to Nima, of all places. And I'm saying this, I'm highlighting this because you said your end game when you were in school was to get a good job, comfortable job. Now you go to Nima, of all places. And that's where you started living your passion. Why Nima?
So, you know, each time you say, okay, you want to do any social impact work or NGO work, everybody says, oh, go to the village, you know, talk to the government. I did all of that. But when I went to the village, I realized also that when you are starting a venture, you have to look at the low-hanging fruit. It was not sustainable for me to always go to the village. I mean, I didn't have money, I didn't have laptops, none of that. And I started to look around me. Sometimes there are problems all around, just like at your back house. You know, you don't have to look far. And at Nima, I discovered that at 12 years old, the girls were being forced to marry early. And education stopped for a lot of the girls there. So I was like, I can't believe this is happening. And it also pushed me out of my corporate bubble. Because when I worked in corporate, I had no idea what was going on outside. All my friends had mobile phones, you know, went on holidays.
The resources are there, you know.
I was so naive as to the challenges, you know, the social challenges that exist in our country, because I lived in a sheltered kind of bubble, you know. So when I realized that just right in Nima, there are so many struggles for girls there, I was like, no, I don't have to go far, you know. Let me come and then make a difference right around me instead of taking it further. And so this is why I went there. And I had to really learn how to come out of the way I was living. Because you see, if you step into somebody's shoes, you have to relate in a certain way. So you don't come in a way of, I know, and I'm coming to tell you what to do. I had to go through the process of learning from them, you know. And Nima is a predominantly Muslim community. I'm not Muslim, you know. So even the way things were done, I couldn't come in a judgmental way where I'm like, why are you doing this? You know, I had to learn now to take the position of a lot of learning and humility to understand how I can make a difference without telling you what a difference is. Yeah.
Okay. Now, you've learned so much along this journey, so much. Now you have a daughter, and I'm sure a lot of women are wondering, how old is your daughter now? 4 or 5?
She's going to 5.
Going on 5. You're still traveling around the place. Maybe COVID has limited that a little, but still traveling around the place. At some point, you're pregnant, but you still have to work. How are you combining all of that?
Let me pause on that one. That one is a big one. You know, before I got married and had a kid, people would ask that question, you know, what's the work-life balance? I was like, prioritize, organize. Like, what's this question? You know, just organize yourself. Then I became a wife. The first thing is you must marry the right man. Hey. I can't say enough how important it is to marry the right man, right? Because before I married my husband, I was dating this guy, and, you know, he was uncomfortable being with a woman that was going somewhere, right? And he always used to say things like, when we get married, you will stop those things, right? You know, when we get married, you will now act in your place. And even though this was an educated man, and I thought he was supportive, you know, but I realized that each time we would go out and people would sort of come to me and not acknowledge him, there was a problem. And so finding a man that is supportive for a woman going places is the #1 factor, you know, because also in Ghana, when you marry family, right? So family members will be calling your husband, and it happened. Once I got married, people will be like, hey, how are you married to that woman? Check it, you know? It was just ridiculous, the things that they would tell my husband, right? And everybody, my husband would now tell people that, look, I took this woman as she is, and I'm supportive. So first you have to marry a very supportive man. And it's so helpful because I can't do it by myself, and I need his support, right? As soon as I had my daughter, hey, I thought 9 months was the challenge. Like, at least that one, they're inside. Hey, I've never slept a good night's sleep since, you know, my daughter turned 4, but she still kind of sleeps with me. But also, it was just the balance. I was forgetful. If my percentage of operation before I had a daughter was like 100, it dropped to like 30. So I was operating at 30% of my capacity because now I had to juggle, and I had guilt. Each time I would travel to speak, I felt guilt. I'm a bad mother. I've left my daughter. I'm not giving her time. Each time, you know, I would spend time with my daughter, I had guilt. There was a great opportunity. This was a big funding opportunity. Why didn't I go? I was never winning. I was never winning. And so I had to come to the realization that some balls will drop. It's fine. Regina, you can't do it all. You know, it's okay. So then if something falls, it's fine. If my house isn't immaculate, it's fine. If I pass on an opportunity, it's fine. We keep it moving. And that helped. But then, you know, for me, it kind of made me also realize some of the challenges for female entrepreneurs. Because for similar male entrepreneurs in my space, there was no stop.
Absolutely not.
It was just go. Me, I was like, hey, as I'm coming, something has fallen, I must carry this one. You know, something will come, I must go back. And then I'll just see my male compatriots just jumping, you know. And so it's a challenge. It's still a challenge now. If there are people online and they are juggling it better, give me tips. I'm barely surviving, you know. My boss man is controlling the house. I don't even know, so I'm still learning. It's still a challenge, yeah.
Regina, thank you so much. I just want to take final words from you. If there's one thing you have to tell this audience, physically and of course online, that's our new reality, right? What would it be?
Don't be afraid, and even though you're afraid, just keep going.
Thank you. Another round of applause, please. You're inspired?
Definitely.
Any potential tech entrepreneurs here? Anybody in the tech or the digital space who wants you? Okay, so yeah, she's a woman, but she's a woman who's bossing it. Yeah, and I'm sure she'd be more than willing to speak to you. So please make sure you link up with her. Very important. So now we're going to move on to.
Excuse me,
Hi.
has had questions.
Oh, you do? Okay, so can we take a couple? Yeah, 2? Okay, so 2 questions. So let me take yours.
Right, so...
You see, it's good to ask for what you want to.
So, it was amazing you spoke about how you need to move. Right. And the moving, we have the cliche, that is the sayings. understanding told you how to go. In an example where they say you should go to the villages and you realize that with what you have, your situation at the time, you can't sustain going to the villages and market food. Now my question is, with that understanding, is it the sayings in the, in the existing space that works, or your understanding and building your own strategies that works?
Definitely understanding and building your own strategies and making sure that you get a lot of information about your space. So I'm always learning, always getting information, and then you always have to be innovative. Each and every time I'm thinking, how can I do this differently? How can I do this better? So you never rest if you're in the entrepreneurial, space or game. You don't just listen to everybody. You keep pushing and challenging yourself and asking yourself, how can I do this differently? How can I do this better? So that's what works for me.
Okay, great. No, you can ask her later, but I want someone from this side of the room. Any questions from this side of the room? No, then let me take the gentleman's question.
All right, thank you very much. It's good I've seen you today. I've seen two plenty messages on this today. Yeah, praise you. So, Regina, would you want to tell us what is important working in the corporate before going to start your own communities? Or you can just zoom in and start your own thing?
No, for me, it really helped. It made a difference because I really learned, about meeting client deadlines, adding some professionalism to the work I'm doing, understanding, how to deliver at a certain level and quality. I don't think that if I didn't have the corporate experience, it would have been the same. So it really made a big difference into, my entrepreneurship, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Another round of applause for Regina. Okay. At this point, I'm going to invite our panelists for the next session of the MTN Pulse Just Be series here today. They, as well, brilliant entrepreneurs, and I'm going to introduce them. So I'll start with my lady who's sitting right in front of me. She's wearing my favorite color, Stephanie. Okay. Now, how many of you have heard of Color Box Cosmetics? Anyone? Okay. So I'll introduce her and tell you more about her because we'll go for a break. But Stephanie, please come take your seat on this stage. A round of applause for her. And there's also Mabel Simpson. You know M. Sims? Heard of? Okay, Mabel Simpson is in the house. And the suit guy. You know who the suit guy is? And he's wearing a dapper suit. Suit guy, stage is yours. Okay, so we're going to go for a break. And when we return, we delve into the stories of our panelists. I'll tell you exactly who they are, and then the show continues. We'll be right back.
Hello! Today we have a very big surprise for all of you. You get a sonata. You get a sonata. You get a sonata. What's so open a sonata if you want it? You get a sonata. Sonata. You get a sonata. You get a sonata. And you can get a sonata too.
Everyone's excited about the MTN Act 25 promo. Just keep using your MTN number and talk, text, browse, and more to gain points, and you could win one of 25 Hyundai Sonata vehicles and cash prizes each month in the MTN Act 25 promo. Dial *156# today and begin your journey to win big.
Hey, man, try.
Only on MTN. Everywhere you go. Terms and conditions apply.
Just joined us. You've already missed a lot, but it's okay. It's okay. There's still more to learn. And I must say that our online audience, you're watching us via MTN's Facebook page, Ahaspra's Facebook page, MTN and Ahaspra YouTube channels. You can drop questions in the comment section, okay? So you can interact with us as well. It's a very, very interactive space. And those of you who are present here, we continue. Are you ready? Yes. Okay. So now it's time to get into an extensive conversation. You've heard a bit of it from Regina, who is our keynote speaker, about living your passion, okay? Living your passion. Chasing your dreams, living your passion. And I'm going to start by introducing the lady who is sitting to my immediate left, Stephanie. So Stephanie Edu, she is a British-born Ghanaian and the founder and chief executive of the award-winning beauty brand, Colorbox Cosmetics. Where are the ladies? Stephanie moved to Ghana in 2014 to establish the affordable luxury brand, which focuses on catering to the beauty needs of modern, yet often underserved women of color. Stephanie's experience and her passion within the beauty industry spans across 14 years, and her vast experience, including numerous client-facing roles, spearheading the brand expansion across the continent, and more recently serving on the technical committee for cosmetics constructed by the Ghana Standards Authority. I mean, it's placed her in a position to speak today like no other person can. So a round of applause for Stephanie. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Mabel. Now, maybe I'll tell you a story about Mabel later. But Mabel Simpson, she is the CEO, the founder of MSims. And she was born in Accra in the year 1984, a woman who flaunts her age. I like it. She attended Rich Church School and moved on to Wesley Girls High School, Cape Coast, where she studied visual arts. She had her university education at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Kumasi, where she studied communication design and majored in graphics design, graduating with a second-class upper in BA Communication Design. For her national service, she served as a teaching assistant in her department at the College of Art and Social Studies. At the age of 26, she willingly resigned from her corporate job to start a creative enterprise, MSims, with a meager seed capital of $100, at the time, 200 Ghana cedis. A 53-year-old sewing machine, which was a gift to her from her grandmother, and her passion, which was worth $1 million. And over the last decade, she's grown from producing just brooches to a mid-scale fashion house that provides a full suite of services, such as handmade handbags, laptop bags, backpacks, diaper bags, clutch purses, men's slippers, throw pillows, travel pillows, journals, wallets, shopping bags, and most recently, clothing. And even during the pandemic, the height of the pandemic last year, she also ventured into making face masks. So we'll speak to Mabel and you hear her story as well. A round of applause for her. Now, Mclean, that's his name in real life. Mclean is the founder of the Suit Guy virtual suit store. He's a content writer, a rounded creative artist, and a social media enthusiast. Eko holds a degree in economics and is a postgraduate candidate at the MA International Affairs program at LESIAD. He has experience working in marketing, finance, and communication roles, and he's an autodidact. Everybody know what that means? He knows how to teach himself things, okay? Good. So he's an autodidact, and unlike the stereotype, he is a jack of many trades and definitely a master of many. So a round of applause for Eko. Ladies and gentlemen, you're very welcome to the stage of the MTN Pulse Just Be series, and thank you for joining us. I know you're extremely busy chasing your dreams and living your passions, but every now and then, I think you'd agree that it's important to come to events like this so that you can inspire and show other people the way. All right, so, you know, it's a conversation, right? There are questions, but I want you to be very open, very relaxed, you know. So, Stephanie, I'll start with you.
Sure.
Now, I read your bio, but just tell us a bit about the Stephanie that was before Colorbox Cosmetics came into being. Because you're a British-born Ghanaian.
Yes.
A lot of people who have dual citizenship will say, okay, I love you, Ghana, but I don't love you that much. Let me stay wherever my other nationality takes me to and chase the opportunities and live my dreams there. But you didn't do that.
No.
So let's talk about the Stephanie that existed before Colorbox Cosmetics.
So the Stephanie that existed was an investment banker.
in a US bank, and went to university, studied pharmacology actually, and then came across the opportunity for banking. And so I went in there with an open mind. It was one of the hardest yet most rewarding career paths and career ventures that I've done. And I think that gave me the ability just to think and believe in myself that if I wanted to do something for myself, entrepreneurship, that I can. Now, all throughout, ever since I was 16, my part-time job was selling makeup and fragrance in all the big beauty stores. And so I fell in love with the industry. I fell in love with what it did for women, how it made women feel. And I knew I could just spend all day. So I knew if I was going to get into business, it was going to be in this field. Now, after the whole financial credit crunch situation, I then said, now's the time for me to look at living my passion. So I looked at the opportunities and I thought, I'm going to come back to Ghana, because no matter where you're born, you know where your heart is, you know where your home is. And this is where home is for me. So I came back to study the industry, to really understand if my passion was going to be sustainable, be able to make an impact and to add value. And what I found was, yes, there is a gap in the market to serve women here that often don't get afforded the greatest quality. And so I thought, this is my chance to really make an impact. So that's how Colorbox was born, and it's been happily growing ever since.
And you're doing an amazing job, and we're very proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Very proud of you. Now, I'll come back to you, Stephanie, but let me move on to Mabel. Now, Mabel, from just reading your bio, it's clear that right from the get-go, you're a creative person, and you knew that. So even the courses, the subjects you chose to study, going along your educational life, they were all geared in that way. When you finished school, did you go straight into the creative industry?
No, I didn't. I love art, so I decided to study art in school. And we all know how it is like in Ghana when you want to go to school and then study visual art. Often,
did your parents support you?
No.
I went to get here. I went to study visual arts. Who does that?
I know, right? Yeah, so it was a big no. But I have two older siblings, brothers, and I'm the last born. They had gone to secondary school, and I remember very well when it was time for us to choose schools and then our subjects. When I said I wanted to do visual art, it was no for my dad, Fortunately, I had some teachers who called him to the school and said to him that, you know what, if you look at all the courses, she does very well in vocational skills. We're doing graphic design then.
Okay. This was at Rich Church?
At Rich Church School, okay. Yes. So then they spoke to him, and then he realized that, okay, he had made a mistake with my older brothers because he had forced them to go to secondary school and study business, and they weren't doing too well. So then the teachers were like, okay, if she loves art and she wants to do visual art, allow her to do what she wants, because that's where she's going to excel. Then let her study something else, and then she's going to fail at it. So that's what saved me. Wow. So yeah, I'm grateful to my teachers at Richard, yes. So I went on to Wesley Girls to study visual art, and then did communication design and majored in graphic design in tech. And after that, we all want to work in the office, right? And so I worked with Mr. Koji Yanka at his university, Africa University College of Communications, as a PA for a few months. But then I went there, the money was good, but that wasn't me. And then I moved on to multimedia, Hit FM, and then Joy FM as a production assistant. It was quite interesting because my dad was partly in media. He was doing sports then. So I enjoyed it, but I didn't like the whole corporate politics. So I left, and then I joined a marketing communications company. Quite interesting, but it was there that I realized that, okay, I really wanted to do something art-related, because I asked myself a few questions. Okay, 4 years studying art and you're not doing anything with it. It felt like I was throwing something away. So I spoke with a colleague of mine, Jeff, and I said to Jeff that I want to do something with African print. I want to start something. I want to do brooches. Then I didn't even think of making bags. I want to do dress broches and belts and all of that because I want people to go to work, you know, because the whole corporate colors are quite boring. Have an African touch to whatever they're wearing. And although I studied graphic design, I don't want to do graphics. I want to do something different. And Jeff said to me that, okay, Mabel, I believe in your idea, but I don't believe in you. Yes. Why he said that was because I'm a very shy person. I'm still a shy person. So, you know, always in my corner, like Regina said, I think entrepreneurship has changed us. So he believed in my idea, and I had 100 cedis then. And he gave me 100 cedis and said, go and buy some raw materials. I didn't know how to sew. So I was still working, and I went to my seamstress and I said, I want to make these items. I'd close from work, go to her, and she wouldn't have done anything. So I was like, okay, I'm going to quit my job and then do this myself. So I told my friends that, okay, I'm on leave. After a month, I was still home.
You told your parents you're on leave?
Yes, meanwhile, I had resigned. Please don't go and try that. So after a month, I was still home. Aren't you going to work? Oh, I took more time off. Almost 2 months. Then I remember that evening, I walked up to my dad, who was in the living room with my laptop. I'd done a few designs and said, Dad, this is what I want to do. I want to resign. Not I have resigned. I want to resign and do this. He looked at it and said, no. Still work and do this on the side. I'm not going to allow you to resign. I was still home. Then later I said, you know what? I have resigned. This is what I want to do. So for about 3 years, weren't really on good terms, you know, because you still say, take your CV here, take your CV there, da, 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 da. So after my first TV interview, it's like, oh, this is what you are doing. Then I remember, I think it was Jocelyn to my show, the one show. Yes. Yes, then his friends started calling, oh, he saw your daughter on TV. Da, da, da. I was like, oh, really? You still have to look for a job, but okay, now. So that's when he started paying attention to me. So I realized at a point that I had to teach myself how to sew. So I didn't go to fashion school or anything. I had to teach myself how to, like, you know, make accessories. Yeah.
I'll come back to you and ask you why you decided to teach yourself. But I'll move on to Ekol, who is another self-taught of many things, and also didact, as you rightly put in your bio.
Yes.
But Ekol, you study economics. You're currently studying international relations. Why are you making suits? Why?
I feel like all of you, I have the least interesting story. So let me take you to how it all started. So back in GSS, I mean, I was a regular kid, one of the ones who never stood out. The only thing was, anytime it was time for a passage to be read in the book, everybody would point to Mclean. And that was where it started. So I started reading the dictionary so I could get fancy words, like the autograph that I mentioned. It's kind of fancy, yeah. I like to describe myself with flamboyant words. So when people see you, they are wondering,
well, who's
this guy? Yeah, but I think, so from there, we're about to enter SHS, the big moment for many people, where you get to choose some of the best schools. I was very happy I was going to go to Botwe because in my mind, that was where I wanted to go to. My second choice was Presec. But unfortunately, by a bizarre twist of fate, when it happened that our parents had to come to the school to confirm, my dad sort of switched the schools. So Presec came first, and Botwe was my second choice. Luckily for Presec, they got me.
So you're an Odadian?
Yes, I'm a proud one.
I can't get enough of you.
I mean, we are everywhere.
My husband is an Odadian, and
you're really blessed.
I have enough.
Yes, so I entered Presec, and the momentum I'd gained from GHS still moved on. I wasn't the best student academically, but I always stood out for something. Down the line, we had to attend university. Once again, I chose Legon, I chose Tech. I got admission for both, but I went to Tech because of some frivolous excuse. But I ended up in Tech.
What was the frivolous excuse? We're curious.
It was one of those puppy love, but hey. But hey, it played out well.
Love. Okay.
No, in the other direction.
Or the love
I was running away.
So you ran away from it?
Yes.
Oh, Sorry.
So I went to Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, where I studied economics as my major and then sociology as my minor course. Now, way into my course, somewhere around third year, I realized the format was the same. We learn the same things. I mean, we don't even learn them. We chew the same things, the same formulas, economics, econometrics, all of those statistical methods. I probably didn't understand any of them, but I had a very good graphic memory, so I could. The day before exams, that's when I can learn. I can't learn many weeks to exams, many months like many people. I work best under pressure. So I'll chew my best, and at the end of the day, I'll get the same grades as those people who had learned from the beginning of the semester. So this was my motivation. At the end of the day, we'll all fall in the same pit. Time went on, and this practice became very familiar to me. So I realized I'm probably living a very regular life. So since I can pick up my book before exams and possibly get the same grades as everybody, why don't I do more with my life? But doing more with my life, my story is not as eventful as Regina's story or Mabel's story, where you wanted to save the world. I want to just explore and have more fun. That was it. So I joined the skating club. I taught myself how to swim. I would watch YouTube videos of Phelps and then enter the pool. And first, I started in the shower. Yes. You think it doesn't work, but the principle really works. Just close your eyes, try not to breathe, move your arms. I learned how to swim.
It's an example of creating your own dream.
Exactly. Before I could get access to a pool, Kwame Nkrumah University has one of the biggest pools in West Africa or Africa. So it was a very good place to learn how to swim or drown. Either ways, you would have to do something. So fast forward, I do many things, and at a point, I really get distracted from the whole aspect of education. So I quickly bring myself back. I mean, school will teach me, I'll get my degree. But at the end of the day, who am I? It sounds like a very profound statement, but I didn't have an answer to it. So exploring more things, doing more things was a way of finding myself. I learned how to do spoken word because I could read, I knew words, and I could copycat. I was a very good copycat. So I think that's my talent. I don't have any special skill. I'm a copycat. If I see you are doing makeup, I may probably learn a thing or two about makeup and start my own makeup brand. If I see your bag is really nice, I could probably do a similar version. That is what I do. So I learned how to be a good copycat, and then I became very good at it. So I could copy people, and from there I developed social skills. Because you meet people, you can't run away from it. You meet people. The moment you talk to people, people introduce you to people, and before you realize, you have a large network. So I think that's where everything started from. And also my final year, I always used to wear suits to Sunday service. So at a point, I became known as, oh, don't you know Mclean, the suit guy? The guy who wears a suit, the suit guy. And before, I wasn't called Mclean, I was Joseph Mclean. That's my government's name, so just in case. Yeah, so the suit guy. After university, it was time to do service. Luckily, one of the contacts I had made from a spoken word event had spoken at told me, oh, their dad's job is taking interns, so if I want to do my service there, I should send my name from connections without any proper education. I mean, I worked there and they never asked for my degree. I've never gone anywhere that has ever asked for my degree. It's about how well you speak or probably how you look or the reputation that has preceded you based on recommendations by people. So luckily, I got picked. The company was Daylex Finance, and I was very privileged. In fact, when I went to Daylex, in my mind, 9 to 5, right? Yeah. No, but you have to go 7 to 5 now. I mean, I could manage 7 to 5. In the morning, I'll wear my suit as a national service boy. Suit! In this hot sun, in a trotro front seat, because I could take like a 30, 40-minute nap before I get. And that's one bad thing about me. Even if I sit in the trotro from here to probably Flagstaff House, I will sleep. It's my talent. I'm very good at it. Yeah, so it gets interesting. I'm going every day. Now people start taking notice. You're a national service boy. Why are you wearing a suit to work? Even people who are permanently employed here wear just a shirt and a tie. I didn't know where I was going with it. I mean, I was just doing it because it made me feel happy. One of the bosses took notice, and then they started giving me more tasks. So national service boy was closing at 8 o'clock, sometimes 9. People would tell me, the job is not for your father. So close quickly and go home. Little did I know I was building myself. Now, service is over, they're about to retain people, and we have to write an aptitude test. But prior to that, you know if you're selected, but you know if you're one of the favorite boys, because like the bosses start asking of you, you're the one that gets called to submit something to the CEO, who everybody's afraid of. So I felt like I was doing something right. So one time I was there, and then my boss, who later became my boss, that's Joe Jackson, who I'm very, very privileged to have worked under, one of the greatest minds when it comes to brand and marketing in Ghana. So he came to me and like, oh, we have this meeting, and I hear you have a blog, and I've read some of the things that I think you can write, so come and take minutes for me. And you dress well. So somebody who used to dress well back in university, now all these things start to build up. Sometimes you don't realize where you're going until like you look back and then you realize, oh, this is how far I've come. So all these things started falling in place. And fast forward, I got into the job. I was there for about 2 years. I left, went into another job, manufacturing. 3 months down the line, I was lying on my friend's bed, and the thought to start an Instagram page came to mind. So I just started it and called it A Suit Guy. 15 minutes later, somebody called me. Oh, you're finally selling suits now. I want a suit. And with the 300 Ghana cedis, that was the remnants of my previous salary. I went to the person I used to buy suits from and told her, oh, I need a suit for my friend. And that was how the Suit Guy business started. Yeah. I hope it was short.
What I will say is you think you don't have an interesting story, but you actually do. It's a spellbinding one, since you like fancy words.
Thank you.
So I'll come back to your call. Let me circle back around to Stephanie. So Stephanie, Colorbox Cosmetics.
Yes.
I mean, you came back to Ghana 2014. This is a time when MAC is coming in, Maybelline. I mean, all these big makeup brands that people know.
Yeah.
Now you say you're coming to do makeup, start your own makeup brand, and you're focusing on women of color in Ghana. What was going through your mind?
I, at the time, had a lot of energy, I had a lot of enthusiasm, and I'm very thankful for that, because sometimes when you look at the facts on the ground, you don't start anything because you become fearful. So I said, this is something I can do. And I studied and I said, okay, what is on the market? What are women buying? What are women wearing? And, where can I plug myself in? And there was a significant gap of affordable luxury. There was often, as you say, MAC, which is very expensive. Yeah. And then you have Makula, which is another quality. So in between, I was like, okay, there is a gap here. And coming from London, I was thinking, why can't women here in Ghana have the same access to certain things, So, and again, it was such a passion of mine. And I said, I'm going to really give it a go, because if you fear, I did the research and I made sure I thought it was going to work. But if you fear, then nothing great can happen. So that's really how it started.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll stay with you, Stephanie. But you studied pharmacology.
Yes.
What role did that play in all of this?
Very interesting, because I think I was being led down the route of actually going into medicine, dentistry, something like that. But I thought, let me do another degree, started in biomedical sciences, but majored in pharmacology to see if I like it. And within the first 2 weeks, I understood that this is not for me. This is not for me. So it was then my quest to find out in university what can be for me. And just by chance, I came across an email that was inviting students to come to a talk about investment banking. And I was thinking, you know what? I see all these men with suits and briefcases going to these fancy buildings and making money. What is that all about? And it was an organization that actually helped smart ethnic minority kids to be exposed to certain things. And when I went in, and I love a challenge, I saw that this was a huge challenge. And so I said, I'm really going to give it a go. And I'm just really thankful. But so far, the only thing that pharmacology has done is that now I'm getting into, manufacturing some products, because right now we're predominantly in like makeup brushes and teaching women how to look their best. Now we're manufacturing. I'm not scared of science. You can throw fancy chemistry words and biology, words. It doesn't matter. I will figure it out. So it's kind of tamed those fears. But yeah, nothing really. I think it's endurance. I managed to finish a degree with the good grades that I hated. It showed me that I can endure. I think that's the benefit that came out of that.
And you answered the question the way I was hoping you would answer it in the end. That it's circled back to you getting into the production of actual makeup products, because you understand the science behind it. Now, clearly you love challenges.
Yes.
Everything you've said this morning so far, does everybody agree? She loves challenges. She just likes throwing salt into the challenge. But what has been your biggest challenge on your entrepreneurial journey?
I think it is finding, first of all, learning to trust your gut, trust yourself, and finding the right people that can believe your dream, at least to help it along. Maybe they won't stay with you forever, but having the right people to get you to the next stage and learning how to manage those people in the right way. Because as you are learning how to grow your business, you have to learn also how to manage people and making sure that the right people are on your team to grow. So I think that those are my main challenges. So I'm sure it's not unique, but for me, those would say are my main challenges.
Definitely. Okay, so Stephanie, I mean, you spent a lot of time in outside of Ghana.
Yes.
Okay, so there was a UK.
Yes.
I imagine there's the US at some point.
No, not really.
Primarily the
Europe
UK.
and everything.
Okay.
You get exposed to obviously those areas, but predominantly UK.
Predominantly the
yeah.
UK. Okay. Now, when you look at some of your peers,
Yeah.
who say you went to school with, people who you met in the financial sector,
Yeah.
I'm sure they're doing big things, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Do you ever ask yourself, why did I come back to that? Could have been me. I could have done that better. Do you have those moments where you question your choice?
I think if you leave corporate and you start entrepreneurship and you don't ask yourself those questions, you are lying to yourself. At some point, you question, you know, but I'm so happy and grateful that I did take the chance to push myself, to know more about myself. I'm far more confident to, I think, handle anything that is thrown at me. And I believe in the long run, I really do believe in the long run that I will be, you know, surpass or be equal to my peers. But in my own lane, really, I'm not really comparing myself, but it's one of those things that I know where I'm going, and I'm not jealous of anybody. Everybody's on their own path, and yeah, I'm just really grateful that I was able to live my dream and chase my passion.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, Mabel, you had big challenges too. You had to fight your dad. My first question for you, just thinking about all the things that you said earlier, would be, in your estimation, how important is it to get people who you care about, people in your circle, to understand what your dream is and what your passions are? And I'm asking this question because you really drew your parents in slowly with the whole, I'm on leave, I've extended my leave, I am going to resign, when in reality you'd taken your decision already and you'd moved on. How important, in your experience and by your estimation, is it important to bring people in your circle along with you to understand what you want to do?
I am a shy person, but I'm also very stubborn. So if I believe in something, I go for it. And there'll be challenges, I'll make the mistakes, but I just keep going. That's me. Sometimes, you feel like giving up. I mean, I'm glad that, or what makes me happy is that before he passed, he had fully come to accept and he was proud of what I've achieved. I mean, it may be small, but he was very proud of it. My mom is proud, my family is proud of me because, I mean, it's tough running a business in Ghana. I mean, for him, it wasn't about the fact that I don't want my daughter to do art, but I mean, he had been in business. He was a civil servant and then he had business on the side. And he knew that running a business was tough, because you need to think about your health. If something is going to happens to you, if you go to the hospital, are you going to be able to afford it? It's about living. How can you live a good life? So his points were very, realistic. They were, I sort of understood him, but this is what I also wanted to do. Yes. And so I also, it was that challenge. I feel that challenge to myself that, do it well and make everybody proud. It's very tough, but you don't stop at it. Because I wanted to make a difference. I mean, back then, now there are a number of people making handmade handbags in Ghana, but then 11 years ago when I started...
And was all we knew.
Yes, so I wanted to make that difference. And I always say that no matter what you're doing, there are people watching, there are people listening. Sometimes you feel like no one is watching, no one is listening or anything, but then keep at it. I've had opportunities where I ask myself, okay, so if I hadn't done this, would those opportunities have come my way? I've met people in high places, or people like, you know, you wouldn't even meet such people, okay? So for me, whatever you're doing, make sure that you give it your all. It's challenging. I mean, learn from the mistakes. When the challenges come, go at it. There are days you wake up and go like, why am I even doing this? I mean, why don't I just find some corporate job, have money at the end of the month and all of that? But God has a way of taking care of his own. I mean, you need to believe in what you're doing. Yeah.
Okay, so I promised you that I was going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Now, when you took this decision to go on the entrepreneurial journey with MSIMS, you decided to teach yourself how to sew. Why didn't you? I mean, I know you had only $100 and you had to spend it judiciously, right? Because you probably didn't know where your next paycheck or any kind of money was going to come from, especially seeing that there was tension at home with your parents and all that. But why didn't you think of getting someone, say a friend who knew how to sew, a tailor down the road, teach you how to? Why did you want to learn yourself?
Well, I started that way. I mean, I moved from one seamstress to another, and then, I mean, all these people, you know, are also doing their own thing. And then when it comes to timelines, I stick to it. If I tell you that I'm going to deliver something on Thursday, I make sure that it's delivered. They started disappointing me, so I realized that, okay, I needed to hire my own person. And the first time I sat behind a sewing machine to sew, my team didn't know that I didn't know how to sew. I remember we had a contract from Unilever. It was about 1,000 bags.
What?
And Doomsaw was very, like, you know, right there in our face. And we had timelines. So I said, okay, I've watched them, I've seen how they sew. I'm going to sit behind the machine and do it slowly. So I sat behind the machine, started stitching slowly. I'll make a mistake and stitch and then do it again. That's how I learned how to sew. Yeah. And they all didn't know. When I employ them, I'll teach you, do it this way, do it that way.
So they assumed you knew.
They assumed I knew. But sitting behind the machine to sew, they did it. It was until that point that, because I needed more hands, because we're working like long hours and everything, using generators. Sometimes you need to use a box iron and, you know, all of that. And I was like, I need to do this. Because, you know, I mean, working with people, it's also, if they realize that you don't know how it's done, they treat you differently, or they give you attitude. So even if you don't know, read. Let them assume you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't just play boss, be boss.
Exactly. I'm a hands-on person, so although like there's someone taking care of sales, there's a production team, I'm like everywhere. I'm everywhere. I know, I like the accountants, we sit down together, production, sales, marketing. Like, you need to know every aspect of your business because you need to understand your business. Yeah.
So staying with you, Mabel, before I move on to Ekwa, the suit guy. I mean, clearly, again, so many challenges. But what has your biggest challenge been? And I imagine it has something to do with raw material.
Yes, you know, often you get people to say that, wow, I've made in Ghana products expensive. I'll say that, yes. We are making the product here, but the raw materials don't come from here. I mean, every single raw material is imported. So even if you're buying it on the market here, it's all imported. And that's what makes the costs go high. I mean, imagine, labor isn't cheap either. Right. Labor is expensive. And the attitude to work is another thing that we need to look at. So, I mean, if you're in a field like mine, you'd be forced to bring in foreigners to help with production.
Like Ivorians, Togolese.
Exactly, yes. And when they come, you need to find accommodation for them. And all these are factored into the pricing of the product. So we are doing our best. I mean, because we need to survive, team members need to survive, you know, your business needs to grow. And with what we do, you need a lot of machines, you need a lot of tools, like special machines and tools. So it's very costly with what we do. I mean, you're competing against handbags and other products coming in from Europe, Asia, everywhere. But at the end of the day, quality is what sells. So if you build, I believe in quality, you need to build a brand that people would, appreciate what we do. I've been doing this for 11 years. I'm sure that if we're doing some crap work, we wouldn't have been able to sustain this for 11 years. We keep learning, we make mistakes, I remember at a point, there was a time that we imported some bag handles, because we didn't have the machines to give us the finishing we wanted. So we imported already made bag handles, quite a number. And after a while, I realized that clients were coming in with complaints about their bag handle. So we reached out, so we keep data. Keeping data is also important. We keep data of, all our clients. If you call us to even make an inquiry, we're going to save your number. So if you call us the next time or message us, we would know that, okay, would mention your name, and people get quite surprised. So we reached out to all those who had bought that particular handbag, and we asked them if they had a problem with their bag handles. And quite a number of them said yes. So at that point, I said, okay, you know what? This is risky. What we are going to do is risky, but let's do it. So we issued a statement on social media, reached out to people and said that if you bought a bag between this period and you have a problem with your bag handle, bring it back. We're going to fix it.
You literally recalled.
Yes, we recalled, yes. It was tough to do. I asked a few friends, should we do this?
We only hear of multinationals doing that.
No, because, you need to let people feel or know that it's just not about the money for you. You care about them after service. And it made us, get more clients because people realize that, okay, we are trustworthy, and trust is something that's very important when you're building a business. Trust, your integrity. Some people would email and say, okay, because of what you've done, we've never bought from you, but we're going to buy from you. So when you make a mistake, you accept it, you own it, and you correct it. And that's what's made us survive.
Brilliant. Eko.
Yes.
So the suit guy is online.
Yes, it is.
A lot of people will say, I want to try on the suit. I want to walk into a shop. I want to drink some coffee or some wine, maybe, even. But you're doing this online.
Yeah.
First of all, why did you choose to do it online? And what are the peculiar challenges, parameters that you face running an online suit business?
The only reason why I started this business was because there was availability of a platform to do that, which was Instagram. Surprisingly, I don't even sell on Instagram that much. Yesterday, sadly, I got an email that my Twitter account has been suspended, which is like my biggest selling platform. I have over 20,000 followers there, and it really hit me. But then I just remembered when I started, I had one follower. So if I had one, I could always build it up. But I think what makes people, or what draw people to my brand is not particularly about a suit. Because the suit I sell, you couldn't get on the market. And as I mentioned, I like to work my way backwards. I don't usually have a plan looking forward. Because I feel like if I have a plan and I don't meet it, then now I get disappointed with myself.
So you don't like to be disappointed?
No. I like my risk to be curated specifically for me. I don't know how to explain it or communicate it, but my risk has to be, people think I'm risky because I quit my job. I didn't quit my job because I wanted to. I wanted to go to law school at a point. And I realized that with my salary, I would have to save 7 years to be able to enter Ghana Law School, Legon. That was just for the first 2 years. But then that year when I was about to, in fact, I had gone through the exam process. I was just left with the interview. We had been shortlisted to about 50-something people. No, sorry, 100 and something for the interview process. And then the news came out that now we are not going for 2 years anymore, so it's going to be 3 years. So, whoops, went the plan for law school. But that motivated why I had to leave, because I realized if I work that number of years, by the time I get to law school, I should be like 28, 29. Another 7 years, I should be like well into my 40s before I graduate law school. So I had to take another course, which was just be an entrepreneur. Luckily, I was able to save up the money. But I still look backwards and I realized that people fell in love with my brand, not particularly because of the suit, but because of the idea behind it. Because I'm not just selling you a suit. This is me regularly when I go to events. Oh, I like your suit. automatically, if you're buying from me, assume if you wear your suits, you look probably like how I'm looking. And then also like how I sell them with stories. I think my suits are still because of the storytelling behind it. That's what draws people. And I think many brands disregard the power of storytelling.
And Ghanaians like stories.
Ghanaians like stories, but
of storytelling.
Whenever any brand tries, it's now that you can see that brands are trying to get to the grass, to try to put out relatable content. So before I mentioned I was a content creator.
Yes.
So all of these things come together. Now storytelling, back in the day when I was trying to figure out myself, I took a course on Coursera, and it was storytelling. It was like a 6-week course. And from that, I had a lot of insights from it. So being able to apply all of these little things, when I was doing it, I didn't have any idea 7 years down the line is going to help me establish the brand that I have now. So looking back, it always makes sense. It's about the storytelling. People come in. Now you asked about it online. Why would I buy a suit online? I mean, ask yourself, would you buy a suit online?
No.
No. But then there's this guy always on Twitter wearing suits and they're nice. I mean, if his suits are not good, I could always come and call him out. And there's that sort of peer accountability. Because if everybody says, he sells terrible suits, don't buy from him.
Or you trend for 2 weeks.
Exactly. And I've been doing this since 2017. So I think if my services were really trashy, people wouldn't still. And I can say I have sold to over 4,000 clients or possibly more. Wow. Because I wasn't targeting. I mean, there are bigger brands out there. I mean, if you're president and you want a suit, you won't come to me. And I understand there's a top 3%. That is not my target market, and I'm not worried about you if you don't bring me your business. I'm looking at the people in university. If you're entering university matriculation, your father won't give you 2,000 cedis to go and buy a suit. He'll probably give you like 500 cedis or less. I am your guy. If you're about to graduate, he won't give you 2,000. I mean, there are very few families who would
earn your own money and buy your own expenses.
Exactly. Yeah, so if you want the affordable ones, and that's why I come in. And statistically, that's where my economics background comes in. Sorry, I'm speaking like professor from Money Heist, but
don't worry.
There is always something happening. And you would have to have the eye to be able to pick out the things that happen around you and connect all of them together. That's how I get the big picture. So I'm not really worried when something little happens. My account got deactivated yesterday. Today I'm speaking here. I like to believe I'm like water. If you put a blockade in front of me, I will simply take a recourse. It doesn't stop me. You're just challenging me to probably be like Stephanie, to take on more challenge. But regardless, I will come to an expected outcome. I don't know what it's going to be, but I will arrive.
Yeah.
I
like it.
So that's how it works.
I like it. So Eko, I'm going to stay with you, but the question I'm going to ask you, I'd like to bring it back to Stephanie and then to Mabel as well.
Okay.
We're in the digital age, which means that if you're like me, I mean, I spend most of my time out, when I say I work, that's controversial because I have many jobs, but let's say in one of my works, that gives me an office. I spend most of my time there. So if I'm not dealing with people like you or with Mabel or with Stephanie who can deliver what I want to buy to my doorstep, chances are I'm not going to do business with you. That's me, and I know a lot of other people like me. So let's talk about delivery services in Ghana.
Let's talk.
I mean, and I want you to be open and honest with your successes and your failures and the challenges that you're facing. So from pricing to couriers who take the merchandise, ruin it, go and get caught by the police because they apparently didn't have their licenses. So let's just open it all up and talk about those challenges because especially with COVID, I imagine last year, I mean, Mabel, you were making face masks. Stephanie, there were still, even if you're going, it got to a point, people realized that, hey, it's Zoom, but I have to be on fleek.
Yes.
And my suit, even if I'm wearing boxer shorts, my top should look good. So what are some of the challenges you face in that area with delivery services for your clients and whatnot?
Delivery services drive my business because I don't have a shop. I never intended to have a shop, and till now, I'm still deliberating whether I should get a shop. Well, first of all, economics will teach you that there are overhead costs when it comes to production. And as an entrepreneur, you don't actually have to produce. You just have to be the one combining all the factors of production. So that's why I come in. Now, I have to deliver the goods to my customers. Previously, I would hand deliver them myself. I would dress nice, pick a trotro, sit in the front because that's my spot. Get close to your office and then pick a taxi. So that when I come, I won't be looking too shabby. I mean, imagine I'm come to deliver a suit
At least
to
when
you
you
now.
sit in the taxi, you can spray your armpits.
Yeah, I can freshen up a little bit. It's all part of the brand. I mean, fake it till you make it. Yeah. So now my customers move from 1 customer a day to like 2 customers a day. I mean, it's not that bad. Once I get to Accra, 1 trotro can get to your destinations you need to. It was bearable. Then now 4 customers a day. Okay. Now it's getting hectic. Now at a point where you have to do about 9 deliveries in a day, now I realized I needed a dispatch rider or a delivery guy. So around where my supplier was, there are a couple of these Okada riders, sorry. I usually prefer them because you can get them instantly. Some of my customers, they'll just call you, hello, I need a suit for this morning. I have a meeting at 8 o'clock. You check your time, it's 6:18. Now the customer expects you to deliver a suit to Kaswa before 8 o'clock. Luckily, this is where the Okada drivers come in. The only thing is that their prices are exorbitant. They charge crazy.
Because they know you need them.
Yes, exactly. Just opposing their service, you have the organized courier services. Unfortunately for those ones, you'd have to pre-order their service probably like a day before. And that wouldn't help with my brand because my customers want the suit on the day. You can be texting somebody and corresponding for like 2 weeks. And the person won't tell you he wants the suit this Thursday. You'd have been talking for 2 weeks. And that morning, 8 o'clock, after you have scheduled all your deliveries, you have everything going out. But you know my suit, I want it today. And because you have been corresponding, you can't just cut them off. You'd have to find a way to deliver. And organized courier services wouldn't cut it. Because now, if you ask for their express service, it's as much as what you would pay for with a regular Okada rider. And in addition to that, you have to wait. So usually I just use the Okada riders because there are some that I can vouch for.
And how much are we looking at when you use the regular Okada riders?
So let's say organized courier riders will charge you probably like 15 to 20 cedis within Accra. No, but my guys are different. They will charge you probably 10 cedis from here to Flagstaff House. Okay. From Flagstaff House to 37, 15. From here to airport, 20. From here to Accra Mall, 30. From here to Legon, 35. Like, it's increases. Sometimes how they feel like their mood determines how much they'll charge you. From here to Tema, they'll charge you probably like 70 Ghana cedis.
You're paying for the empty seats.
Well, I understand. But luckily, with the relationship you build with them, sometimes they give you certain discounts. Okay. But it's still high. My customers, I shifted to my customers because you're only paying for the suite and it's already low. If I try to shoulder that extra cost, you might as well come and run the business because at that point, we'll be running at a loss. So delivery is one of the things that you can't run away from. The only remedy to it is have your own bikes, have your own riders. And even for that, you stand the risk of the riders riding around with your motorbike. They getting into accidents, you having to respond to calls from the police every now and then to pay something. There's no getting away. You can't get away with it. You would have to find your way around it, adapt or die. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Stephanie.
So, we have a completely different model because for me, my worst nightmare is to deal with single riders. That is our worst nightmare. So what we do, because we are based on volume, and we communicate with our customers, this is the time period or this is the delivery service or time scale. So we actually work with courier organizations. I like riders to be accountable to somebody that I can call and say, you need to fix this.
Or I'll sue you.
I don't know if that will work, but or to say, okay, this is your rider. You need to sort out this issue. In the meantime, I'm going to look after the client by getting it to another way, and then we will sort this out later. It also helps with like financing in the terms of we actually collect the delivery charge on behalf of our clients. We ensure that all the deliveries are done, and then we pay the courier service. Okay. We have conversations with our courier companies all the time, and because we can shift volume, we can have an interesting conversation about how much they charge. But the thing is that we don't limit our company or who we use to just one company. We are always constantly on the look. So we currently now use 3 riders or 3 companies, that will shift around Accra, and then we have some solo riders, which maybe are a man and a bike for those express services. And now there's obviously Uber Collect as well. So we have a very different model in that sense because of the volume that we shift. But we would say to clients, if you order before this time, you can get it the same day. If you order afterwards and you need it the same day, this is what you do, or receive it tomorrow. Or if you really need it, here are our stockists around, and that you can also go to them and it's the same price. So we try and provide all different sorts of alternatives because of the wahala with riders. So we try to make sure that we have different setups so that the client is happy and we are not bothered. And we can negotiate on that. Because of volume, we can negotiate. And, for example, this weekend, we are doing free delivery. We can price that in to our products and, take a small hit because we can negotiate really good delivery rates. Okay. So, yes, free delivery, guys, this weekend.
This weekend.
Yes.
So, you need to buy any makeup products.
That's
brushes,
We've
color
got
box this weekend. They've got you. Free delivery.
Free delivery.
Free delivery is a bargain, so please, free delivery.
Yep.
Okay, Mabel, what about you?
We have a similar model to Stephanie's. So we negotiate with a courier company where we pay them at the end of the month. So the client pays the cost of delivery to us, and then at the end of the month, we pay the courier company. But so what the daily, issues, sometimes they're going to run late in picking up the item to deliver and all the delays. So when we realized that they're not going to be on time, or if an order came in late, so we asked the client, would you be all right if we sent it through an Uber or a Bolt? And if they agree to it, we just do that. So aside the motorbikes, we are using Uber and Bolt also, just to make everyone happy, because some people wait till the last minute before they place an order. So if you're okay with Bolt, Uber, we just send it to you. Yeah.
Brilliant. A round of applause for our clients. So at this point, there's a mic available that we can pass around. So if you have any questions, we're more than happy to take them. I will start with you. Unless nobody else raises their hand. Any questions? Well, this side of the room, you're very quiet.
Very shy.
Please, if you are going to chase your dreams and live your passion, you can't be shy. I think
It's
Regina and
Mabel
Mabel have actually spelled that out very clearly. You can't be shy. So, any questions? And there's no right or wrong question, right or wrong. Okay, there's a lady over there in red.
Yes.
There we go. Please clap for her.
Thank you so much. Please, I would like to know, what do you think?
Okay. And those of you online, you can drop your questions, of course, in the comment section. We will take them.
Thank you. So please, I'd like to know what you think of people investing in your business when you want to start a business. Is it like a good idea if somebody wants to invest in your business as you are starting? Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Good question.
Do you want this question to go to any of them specifically, or the whole house can take it? Whole house. Okay. So I'll come to you, Stephanie. Then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when somebody is investing in your business, you are responsible for that. So I would say, especially if you're starting out, usually you yourself can get from 0 to 1, right? Now you need finance to get from 1 to 10. But you need to try and figure out a way to get from 0 to 1. And that means that if you need to save, and that all is part of the entrepreneurship journey, planning ahead, saving as much as you can, sacrificing in order to get yourself forward. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but you are accountable, and it should be treated with respect, because, if someone's giving you money, you have to take it as they're taking it from somewhere else and putting it into you. And so if you are going to, usually, it creates a lot more trust if you said, this is what I've done by myself, and now with your help I can take it to X. So that's what my opinion is with that.
Okay. Mabel,
So,
you want to add
just
on
to add to what Stephanie said, I mean, you need to ask the person also, what do they want in return? Because no one is just going to give you money and, you know, just sit back. I mean, there's nothing like free lunch. Definitely, it's either they want shares in your business or something. So you need to ask all the critical questions. For me, we build MSEMs through reinvestment. We make sure that every profit we make goes back into the business, because money is hard to come by. Before someone invests in your business, it's going to take a lot. So, I mean, whilst you're waiting for that investment, make sure that profit you're making in your business goes back into the business. If it's a sole proprietorship, I mean, a lot of times you're tempted to spend the money on yourselves because, hey, you see your mates driving in posh cars and, you know, nice offices and all of that. You're tempted to use the money for other things other than what the business, you know, stands for. So make sure that all the money, profit you're making goes back. Have a separate account, like a business account and a personal account, so that, you know, I mean, it's two separate things. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Eko, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I just want to add a little to what they've said. For me, I think if somebody wants to give money or invest in your company, essentially what you're asking for is control. Whether it is control through your shares or control through your future profits, at the end of the day, it comes down to control. But I have this simple principle. How do you give control of something you don't have control over? Which means as you're starting out in your business, you need to sort of have a grasp of things. I don't believe in the tech space, getting initial funding is very necessary for growth. But at least for my business, let me just put it that way, I felt I needed to understand the business, the little bits, how deliveries work, how supplying, outsourcing, every little thing works before I can afford to give control to somebody else. So if you haven't figured it out, that means essentially you are trying to gamble with somebody and it's somebody's money. And there's this moral hazard when it comes to somebody's money, because you can afford to take all the risk with somebody's money. But once you understand that, it's my money and I need to be very, very accountable to it. Although you can have all of the credit and debit sheets ready for them to show them that the money went here, that's accounting, right? But deep down, you know you could have done better. And even though the money is there, you know you can do better. There's something that will make you a little bit relaxed than when it is your own money.
When it's your money, you work for it, you'll be more responsible.
But if it's somebody's money, you are working for two people. First of all, for yourself and for the person. But if it's your money, you're working for just yourself. The pressure becomes extra. Now you get to a point where you start to think, my mates are somewhere in the office. When they close and go home, peace of mind. But now I have to think through this every day. So get control, understand, at least for a couple of years before you should bring somebody on. That's what I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Question answered? Okay, so we have a question from Facebook. Someone says, since you use courier service for deliveries, how do you manage traffic in Ghana? And do your customers complain about that?
The benefit of riders is they can dodge traffic. So the only aspect of that is if you're putting your package in an Uber or a Bolt, and it's all about communication. You have to communicate to your customer the time frame, the estimated cost, and let the customer tell you if they're happy with it or they're not happy with it. But most of the time when you're using a rider, they are the ones that are dodging. If you are driving, you know those motorbikes, they're the ones dodging traffic. So that is one of the benefits, but it's all about communication. You can't control traffic. You can't control any of these things. So you're just trying to navigate and negotiate with your customer so that they are happy and make sure you provide a good service for them.
Definitely. So I'll come back in-house in the room. Any questions? Okay.
Oh, good.
Oh, now
ladies. Yes.
Ladies are asking questions. Okay, lady in pink. I think your hand went up first. The lady in pink. Okay. And then who else has questions? I'll come to this side. So after her. Okay, I'll take yours after hers.
Thank you very much. Please, I would like to ask, for instance, if your products are with the dispatch rider, let's say you're working with them with a particular logistic company, let's say along the line, in the course of delivery, your product gets damaged before they get to the client. How do you handle the situation? Is it between you and the dispatch rider or the company?
Okay, so I'll take another question and then just trying to garner some of them. Okay, so the gentleman here has a question. Good. Okay. Any others? There are some other hands on this side. Okay, so I'll take yours after his. Okay.
Thank you very much. Echo. I think your father did you a lot of good by changing your school, yeah.
I agree.
If not, you should have been to Adesado. I think, you speak like... Great. So when we talk about entrepreneurship, the perception has been created that you need money. Everything has been centered on money. So I knew people with brilliant ideas, business ideas, entrepreneurship skills, and they have been limited with that perception that you need money. So you see people knocking doors, looking for money before they start their business, and that has gotten a lot of great ideas locked up in their rooms. I want to know, what is the key driving vehicle to inspire progress when it comes to entrepreneurship, starting business? What is that?
Okay, great. So let's deal with these two, but please pass the mic on to this lady. So when we answer, we'll come to her. So first question from the lady in pink, dispatch and damage. Okay, so your dispatch rider, in between, there's damage to the product. How do you handle it? How do you deal with that? Maybe I'll take Mabel first, and then Stephanie, you.
I mean, for our products, so you need to look at your packaging also. Yes. So we package our product. I mean, if it's a bag, it goes into a mailer bag before it goes into a paper bag. So you're protecting it against rain and all of that. And you need to make sure that the courier company that you're using, they have, the box, so that it's not exposed to bad weather and all of that. But if there's any damage, I mean, they would have to pay for it. But then again, it comes to communication, because at this point, the client is waiting for their package and it's been damaged, or they receive it and it's damaged. It all comes to communication, how you communicate with the person. But you need to look at your packaging, how it leaves your shop or wherever. Packaging is important. So the main packaging plus another packaging, so that it's all-round protection for your product. Yeah.
Okay. Stephanie?
So this has actually happened before. So we put a system in place, right? So our packaging comes in a box like this, okay? Now sometimes we have loose pigment powders that can open, or sometimes the box is damaged. But before the box leaves the shop, we take a picture of it so that we know this is the state of what it left the shop. And then we know we can put that picture on a WhatsApp group that we have with the couriers, so they know this is the state. Now, some things happen, and the client opens the package and they think that something has, the powder's everywhere, etc. At the end of the day, the customer satisfaction comes first, so we'll send out another one. But we'll have a conversation with the rider company and say, look, this is what's happened. So, what are we going to do about that price? Because we need to send out another product. So first things first, customer satisfaction. And then also, if it happens again with the courier, then maybe there's an issue with that service and you need to switch. Or you need to provide extra security on some of your products. So it's always adaptable, but make sure, as you said, the packaging, and then communication with the rider and the customer to find out what happened and then adapt.
Okay, great. So this question is directed specifically to you. So the notion that you need money before you get into entrepreneurship, right? Yeah. That's what a lot of people preach. Funding. And that can be a difficult thing to skirt about. But what is the key, or the driving force to deciding that you're going to enter entrepreneurship in the first place? And then how do you use that to continue with the journey?
Okay, I'll start with two analogies. So, sorry, Jenna, I just have to use your example. So, I have two ideas. One, I want to train 2.1 million girls in IT in Ghana. I need money for it. And two, I need to teach one girl how to code. Which of these two tasks seem easier?
The one girl.
Obviously, the one girl. I feel like most people who have ideas for entrepreneurship have the grand ideas. I mean, the $1 million idea. And many people neglect the $1 idea or the 1 Ghana cedi idea. Let me use cedis so that people can relate. Now, you have an idea that can give you 1 million. Of course, I mean, who wouldn't want 1 million Ghana cedis? But then also to get to 1 million Ghana, there are people who had 1 million Ghana cedi ideas, and luckily enough, or by some twist of fate, they got it. But sadly, many of us are not that lucky. Would you want to gamble on your luck and then just jump there? My boss used to teach me something when it comes to planning, as much as I don't even use it. He said for every task, it seems big. Let's say, let's organize an awards event. It's such a big idea. But once you break all of these tasks into very minute components, you realize that they are easily achievable. So you can break it down to as little as making a phone call, arranging papers. Now, if we attack entrepreneurship from this aspect, I think many people would find it easy settling in. I don't believe in starting from 0 to 100. Even the fastest cars have to rise through with a speedometer. You'd have to build momentum to get to that point. But many people just want to start and be in that big position. If you have a dream like Regina to train 2.1, I'm not sure that is going to be your starting line. You'd have to train some girls in Nima and gradually meet royalty. Then you can scale up from there. I started with 300 Ghana cedis, as I mentioned, and it sounds like one of those success stories. I used to sell cassettes, I used to do this. It sounds very cliche, but legit, that was how it was. The remnants of my last salary. I just simply went to the person I used to buy my suits from, and I bought one. There was profit. I went back, bought another one. The profit is 2. I went back, bought another one. Profit is 3. You can buy 2 suits now. I went back, bought 2 suits. And as time goes on, like the exponential growth, people usually discount it. People want 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus. It doesn't work that way. Sometimes 1 plus 1 will give you 1.5 profit. Sometimes 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 4 will give you 3. But when you add 2 to 1.5, now you have 4.5, aside the ones that I keep building up. So they're just like playing Tetris or bricks. You keep laying on top of each other.
You have to trust the process and build
Trust the process.
Yes.
And you wouldn't, Steve Jobs always says, you would never, I don't remember the exact quote, but you won't see the way looking forward. You can only see it looking backwards.
Okay.
So at every point, you appreciate where you've come from, and then you keep moving. That is the only way I think any entrepreneur can survive. And I just want to use Regina's story because it's so inspiring. I heard of her from a colleague who was in Ashesi. She used to talk about her a lot. But now that I've seen the things she talked about, like, people in Ghana are actually doing this. And it didn't start from there. It started from somewhere, from Nima. And then, so if you don't plan on scaling up as an entrepreneur, I don't think you really survive in the game because you have to start from somewhere to get to somewhere.
Okay, great. Thank you, Eko. Mabel, I would like you to answer this one briefly because we're running out of time. And it's from Facebook. As a startup, is it good to look for partners so that you grow together with them?
I come back to the same thing. What is the partner bringing on board? Because, I mean, partnership, it takes a lot. It's just like, yes, we want to partner, but what is Stephanie bringing on board? Is it money? What's she looking for at the end of the day? So you need to understand each other and make sure that there's trust, there's honesty, there's transparency. That's why a lot of partnerships don't work in Ghana, because for people, yes, I want to partner because I feel that Stephanie is doing so well. She's making a lot of money, so I want to go and then also make that money.
Friend.
She's my friend. I also want to make that money. But are we going to make that money together? Or I'm just going to say, oh, like on paper, I'm a partner, money comes in and then we share. So what is the partner bringing on board? So there needs to be that understanding, honesty, and transparency.
Should it be documented, the partnerships?
Documented, and then you both work at it. So that's why at the end of the day, why
Even
is
if
that
it's a
person?
family member?
Yes, I mean, why is that person coming on board? That's what you need to understand first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Stephanie, this one to you again briefly. How do you start a business if you feel you have no talent or dream or entrepreneurial skill? You know you want to start a business, but you have no talent, no dream, no entrepreneurial skill.
I don't believe that is possible, that you won't have no talent, no dream. I think that's not humanly possible. Everybody has something. Now, as you said, we're talking about living your passion. Some people don't live their passion. Some people are going to business strictly for money. And there are people that do that. But in terms of this generation where sustainability is a factor and growing and just pushing forward to the next level and scaling is one of the core things as an entrepreneur, I think it is really important for the person to understand what they are good at, and if they are able to turn that into something that can make them money. That is what I would say is really the core basis to find out. Otherwise, if you do have money and you want to start a business, I wouldn't say to start a business, I'll say to invest in businesses. That's maybe another way in which you can, you know, grow your portfolio, grow your cash, and still have a hand in other people's success stories as well. So I would say that.
That's the investment banker speaking. Thank you. And very last one, since the lady already has a mic, your question, and then we can wrap up with the question.
Okay. I learned something about everyone. And there's something personally I go through. I'm a caterer, and I personally do deliveries myself. Okay, so there is this issue about clients. There are some people that they would not want to work with you because you fail them. Maybe due to Okada people, maybe I can't go on my own and I would want to give it to someone to do the delivery. How do you handle such clients? Like, you've disappointed me. I needed this 12. You came like 12:30. I can't work with you again. How do you handle such clients? Because they won't even give you room for explanation. Or maybe it was doom. So I had one problem that because of doom, so I couldn't even do a cake for a client. And there was this client that he trusted me so much. Basically, the person doesn't want to talk to me again. And I'm here to understand, why can't he understand that I'm human and it's not my fault, it's a lie, so you know it's a normal thing that is happening. But yes, you've decided not to work with me again. How do you handle such clients? Do you also have your way of dealing with such people and your own ways? I would want to learn from that aspect.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to throw this question to Mabel because I know a lot of what sometimes you do bespoke. Sometimes you run out of stock and you need to reproduce a specific bag or face mask or whatever it is. So how do you deal with a situation like that?
So you mentioned that it had to do with doom. So I mean, in such a situation, so that I'm going to ask you a question back. Did you communicate with the client before like the delivery time? Whilst you're facing that issue? Or you waited till the time you're supposed to have delivered the cake to him?
You see, our brother says something like, there are some people that they will not tell you, I need this thing. You will communicate with them. They know they'll need it at around 12. They will chat with you. And then 1 hour before they will need it, oh, me here, Diani says, can you do it within 30 minutes? Because I work with you for long, I would want to take the order.
Okay.
But this is the case that immediately you take the order, there is light out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for me, I mean, I've come to understand sometimes you need to learn how to say no.
Mm-hmm.
If you give me a timeline and I know I can't meet that timeline, I would say no to you. I prefer that than taking the order and then disappointing. And, you know, people talk. You don't know where this person is going to say that, oh, I gave Mabel an order and then she wasn't able to fulfill it. And then it's going to probably ruin the relationship more. I'm going to be on, this is the time period that I can deliver. Are you all right with it? Yes, no, that's it. You need to learn how to say no sometimes in business. It may seem as if you're letting money go. Someone will say, oh, she's not serious. But at the end of the day, your reputation is what matters. Your reputation is what matters. So when someone calls you an hour to your delivery time and you know within you that you can't deliver, say no.
Okay, so we are out of time actually, but there's just this one question. I want just one yes or no answers, right? So someone says, it seems all the speakers are talking, and this is from online, are talking about quitting their jobs. Do you have to do that to succeed as an entrepreneur?
Big time. If you want to go big, yes.
Okay.
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So that's the answer. Mabel says yes
With
and no.
an explanation.
So it counts
Yes.
as I'm sure the
With
explanation. What
explanation.
I'll say is, and I'm sure we'll be putting your social media information out. You can get in touch with them. If they don't respond immediately, like the person who said, I've been messaging you, Regina, you've not been. Look, sometimes the messages are so many, you just can't get around to all of them. But I think it also depends on the business you're doing.
Yes.
Right? It depends. Like me, I write, I edit, I do poetry. A lot of that stuff I can do from wherever I am behind my computer. So I don't necessarily need to quit the job that takes me into an office to do it and make money off it. Because now my poetry actually makes me more money than my media job. Yes, it's got to that point. So I think it depends on the kind of business.
Absolutely.
But definitely reach out to them and find out what their secrets are, because they can't share all of them here. Thank you so much. Stephanie Edu is the CEO of Colorbox Cosmetics. Mabel Simpson, founder and CEO of M Sims, and of course, Echo Mclean, who we also know his government name is Joseph, is it? Yes, the suit guy, the suit guy. So if you've seen him on Twitter, here is him today in his yellow and black looking fantastic. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. And at this point, I'm going to call on Christabel, is she here? Or any members of the Haspera team, so that we can discuss our next steps. And we're still, if you just joined us online, we're still at the MTN Pulse Just Be series. We've just heard from our panelists for today, 2 wonderful women and of course an extraordinary gentleman as well. And earlier, much earlier, we heard from our keynote speaker, Regina Honu, CEO of Shronku Academy. Okay, so anyone from Ahaspera?
Let's rise. Let's try something new. Let's find new ways to do old things. Let's make the world we want with everything we have. Let's go. Let's keep going even after we've reached the goal. Let each new dawn and each new day bring new opportunities. And let's be ready for it. Every morning, every day, everywhere we go, let's go.
Conversations, we are going to introduce the Haspera Young Entrepreneurs Incubator Program. So as you've joined us today online and in person, you get the opportunity to do a 3-month incubator program with Haspera. This program is structured in such a way that we'll have a virtual program each month to take you through design thinking, strategizing a business, and many more. We are going to have amazing entrepreneurs like those we have here to join us to kind of have actual workshops with you. So at the end of today's program, Apioko will take us through the survey. Please indicate if you want to be part of this incubator program. You shouldn't indicate if. You should be part of this incubator program, because then we can continue these conversations. We can get all your questions answered. You can even stand a chance of getting job shadowing with one of these companies for a week or 2 to experience for yourself. So it's not just about the talk. We are going to do it practically. We are going to teach you how it's done. So stay tuned for more and be sure to fill the after event survey. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Felicia. Thank you. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, those of you here and of course those of you online, if you joined us after the intro was given, I did mention that if you don't have a QR code scanner on your phone or on whatever device you may have to use to scan a QR code, you should have downloaded it by now. If you joined us later, you didn't hear it, so you still have a few seconds, maybe a minute or so to do that. All of you here, you have your QR code scanner? Okay, so you're going to scan the QR code on the screen. For those of you online, it's in the comment section. If you're on YouTube, that's Ahaspera's YouTube channel, MTN's YouTube channel. It's in the comment section of either channel. If you're on Facebook, again, MTN's Facebook page or channel. And then again, our Hasbro's Facebook page. In the comment section, there should be a QR code there. Scan it. Is it scanning? It's scanning? Okay. All right. So once you've scanned it, you should have access to the survey, and then you fill it out. And like Felicia said, I'll reiterate, you shouldn't be iffing at this point. This the whole point of bringing these people here, taking them away from their money-making jobs, right? Which they own, by the way, so there's no one who's going to give them a paycheck at the end of the month, is so that they could inspire you to do what they're doing and do it even bigger and better. So if there's an opportunity to get into a program that will give you access to all the people, all the resources, anything you need so that you can get into entrepreneurship and do it well and successfully, then you must take it. Grab the opportunity. That's part of being an entrepreneur, right? Because he saw an opportunity and he grabbed it.
Yes.
So you grab the opportunity. So I hope you've all scanned it. Did you have a chance to do that? Not yet? Okay, we'll definitely take it again and then you can do that. So ladies and gentlemen, once again, this has been the MTN Pulse Just Be series, live from Alisa Hotel here at Northridge in Accra, Ghana. And we had a select audience here. It's COVID time. We could have 1,000 people. But hey, those of you online, you've been amazing. You've been fabulous. Do stay in touch and make sure, again, you download the MTN Pulse app. And there's also a lot of, side hustle information there if you need it. But look, brain gain is important. We're building entrepreneurs, we're building an empire, and we're building a Pan-African legacy for you, for me, for Ghana, and for the world. So make sure that if chasing your dream is not what you're doing, living your passion is something that never seemed possible to you, you've been inspired today, and you go ahead and you do it. My name is Apioko Seram Ashong Abe. I have been your moderator for today. We'll see you at the incubator.
Hi, my name is Nadia. I am the CEO of Sai Wine Champagne Cafe and Six Sense Manifesto. 2010. It was a spiritual calling for me to come back. Or for me to come back, but for me to come. My biggest challenges, I would say, would be adjusting to the human resource availability here. Like what to expect out of somebody who's educated versus what you actually receive. So it's just about constantly adjusting and understanding the people, which I find is very important anyway. And whereas, yes, we're all Ghanaians, but everybody's got their own background and their own story, and I can see how that affects their day-to-day work. Having an office in Nigeria and then expanding it to become a Pan-African agency, so that's been a huge success. People who've worked for me, and to hear their stories and to hear where they are because of their journey with me also becomes another success that I'm proud to be part of. For all of my successes is my spiritual relationship with God. So it's just about being aligned with what my purpose is and making sure that I'm able to be obedient in that. I would say manage your expectations, because you're not going to come here and try and change Ghana, and if you are, you do it in your own space and in your own time. So I'll definitely say to people, if you're thinking about coming to Ghana, just be prepared to also be broken down, because personally for me, being born in the UK, everybody has this perception that the UK, we're so great, British people, and we speak like this. But coming to Ghana for me was a real whoa. But you have to be broken down, and then you have to get rebuilt back up again. And in that process, you actually become stronger. And then you also have a better understanding of what the market that you're in is about as well.